Now, is there anything else we could do to further benefit the impact of rebalancing? So this is something I do in my portfolio, and it has helped me enormously. And that is adding a stable coin or a stable asset, right? In this case, let's just think about what would happen if we had a allocation devoted to US dollars or any dollar currency, any fiat currency. How would that impact our portfolio and our rebalancing technique? So let's say this. Let's say we add in our portfolio, in terms of the asset allocations, some USD. Now, when I say USD, some exchanges accept USD, like Bitfinex, for example. You can't transfer USD there, but you can sell things and have actual USD. But most other exchanges don't accept. So you would have to hold something like USDT, which is a US Tether. It's a coin. It's not an actual fiat, but it's pegged and backed by USD, allegedly, right? So that's it hasn't been audited completely, but that's what we believe. But there's other coins as well, not only USDT, but there are other coins like True USD, I believe. So here, if we go down the list, you'll see that Tether, there's $2.7 billion worth of Tethers, which are backed by USD and they're pegged to USD, so they're always trading at $1. Okay? Sometimes moves just a bit, but less than 0.5%, really, and it gets arbitraged away right away. But then you have other coins that, like True USD, which does the same thing. It replicates the dollar, but way smaller. So most people use USDT, but you can have another one as well, just in case something happens to that coin. People are always scared about something happening to that. But what would happen in our portfolio? So let's think about it. So let's say in my portfolio, I decide that I want to have an asset allocation, okay, that isn't only going to have Bitcoin and altcoins, but it's going to have USDT. So I'm going to decide that I want to put 20% of my funds in USDT, 30% in Bitcoin, and then 50% in some altcoins. How do you think that would impact the performance of our portfolio as the market is moving up and down? Okay. Well, what's going to happen is when the market goes up, altcoins go up the fastest, right? Bitcoin goes up, but slower. And that's historically, like the volatility here is higher. It doesn't mirror, sometimes Bitcoin goes up, altcoins go down. It's not always this, but in general. Well, USD is not going anywhere. So your portfolio, when you're going to look at it, if you had, and let's put numbers on that so it makes sense. Let's say we were starting with 10K. So we would have put $5,000 in altcoins. We would have put 30% of 10,000, $3,000 in Bitcoin, and we would have left $2,000 in USD. Well, if the market goes up, goes up by a lot, let's say it goes up by 100%, okay, everything doubles, just for the simplicity of this example. Well, our altcoins are going to be worth 10K. Our Bitcoin is going to be worth 6K. And our USDT is still going to stay at 2K. So if we do our calculations, well, now our total is 18,000. And, having 10,000 over 18,000, well, that's not 50% anymore, right? 10,000, 6, and 2. Let's just do the calculation real quick. Let's open up a calculator. Right? So how much would you have when then you have 10,000 over 18,000? Well, now, sorry, oops, whoop. Okay, sorry about that. So what do you have when you have 10,000 over 18,000? Well, now you have 55%. And for Bitcoin, now you have 6,000 over 18,000, which is 33%. which is again not, which is too much. And then for USD, now we have 2,000 over 18,000, which is 11% instead of being 20%. So what you actually have to do here is sell some of your Bitcoins and sell some of your altcoins to have more USD. And then guess what? If the market drops, then, and again, if you sell some of that and you sell some of this, and then you have more USD, right? You get more USD here because you're selling these. And you have more USD, more dollars. Now, if the market crashes, what happens? Then altcoins are going to crash faster. Bitcoin is going to drop, but USD is still going to stay the same. So then what happens is when you're looking at your new asset allocation, and again, here you rebalanced everything. So you brought everything back to 20, 30, 50 by selling some of those and putting them in USD. Well, when the market crashes, your altcoins or your Bitcoins are worth way less. And then when you're looking at your balance, you have your US dollars is worth way more in terms of percentage because it didn't drop while the other things dropped. So now it has a bigger allocation in terms of your portfolio. So now what do? Well, you have to sell some USD to buy some of those altcoins and Bitcoin, so you keep the allocation proportional. Well, what does that mean? That means that you're going to be buying these coins when they're cheaper. And that's what having some USD does. It basically makes it that when the market is going up, you're selling some of your coins, putting them in US dollars, and when the market is crashing, you're using back the US dollars to buy more of those coins at a cheaper price, and more of them, right? And goes up again, you sell them at the highs, and you're liquidating some of them, and falls, and you're buying more of them at better prices. So this is something that I've done in my portfolio, and it helped immensely, right? It helped immensely, especially during the drop, because during the drop, I always had some USD. And then as the market is dropping, I'm using that to buy more coins. And the market, the market moves. So when you're looking at, and we can check on TradingView. Let me pull that up here. So when you're looking at something like Bitcoin, well, and let's not even look at the past, but let's look at the times that are harder for some people, right? Well, the market dropped to 6,000, then went all the way back up to almost 12,000. That's 100% return. Well, on this move, I've been buying some coins with that USD. Well, on that move, I've been selling them and getting more USD. And then dropped again, I bought them back lower at better prices. Went up, selling them back. So I'm always, as the market is moving, rebalancing, and not only between coins themselves and Bitcoin, but also with the US dollar. And that was a great help for me, for my portfolio, for my company's portfolio, as even during, times where other people are having a hard time, we're accumulating more coins and accumulating a bigger portfolio. And on the moves up, well, we've protected and saved so much capital that we have so much more that when it goes up, we make so much more than somebody who just held and, didn't accumulate that much. So, the way you think about it, imagine the market drops by 50%. Well, that person who didn't do anything about it, the market has to go up 100% for him to just get back to break even, right? Because he has, if you have 10K and it drops to 50K, if you have 10K and it drops to 5K, well, to get back from 5K to 10K, you need to double that. Well, if another person like us rebalanced and did all of that stuff and only lost 20%, well, we still have 80% of our capital. So if the market goes up again by 100%, well, the other person just broke even, but us, we actually made a lot of money. So this is very, very, very beneficial. Okay. Now, of course, there is still that small risk. The risk that the market keeps going up, and all you're doing is just selling your coins and have more USD. Selling your coins, have USD, instead of letting them really grow. But again, that is a situation like I've said about, when you have just coins. What I mean is basically that's a situation that could happen if in certain situations, but in the long term, as you're doing it, this is very beneficial. Now, you don't have to keep all your USD in the accounts. You can put it in your calculation and keep it outside, but it has to be ready, available to be used to do the rebalancing. You know, some people might be like, well, why would I keep 20% there, not doing anything? Well, it is doing something, because when the market drops, you're using it to buy or something. But if you don't want to keep it there, you could keep only 5% of it there, and then the 15% leave it outside. But keep it that if you do need it, you can put it in. And you know, if still when you're doing your calculations, use the whole 20% in your calculation, because most of the time you're not going to be using all of it. You're just using a part of it as you're rebalancing. You're using a part of it. So you don't need to keep all of it in the exchanges. Same thing with the coins. You don't need to keep all your coins in the exchange. You can just keep part of them, because when you're rebalancing, like we saw with our example, we just sold a few VeChains and a few Zilliqa, and or we bought some of those. We sold a few Binance coins, but the big chunk of them were just sitting there. So you don't even have to leave everything in the exchange. You can just leave a bit there. Keep all your other coins safe and locked on your own wallets, and then just rebalance using that. But when you're doing the calculations, use the whole amount in your calculations.